Hey, welcome to another edition of Local Focus here on Proview Networks. I'm your host, Sebastian Noel. And we make no secret on the show that I'm a Del Norte grad and my director, Josh Brown's a Del Norte grad. So this is a pretty cool episode for us because we have a Del Norte grad in the chair today, a Del Norte grad, a knight making us proud. That is the interim head basketball coach of the women's team at Northern New Mexico College, Mario Caetano, the point guard at Del Norte. And man, you're coaching it up now. That's so cool to see.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to be here. It just feels good to be back in New Mexico and actually getting my chance to run my own program now, so I'm excited.
How did that come about?
Well, 2 years ago I was there with, I was the assistant men's coach, and I was doing that for 5 years. And then I ended up moving to Vegas, Nevada with my wife. And then a couple months ago I got a phone call from Ryan Cordoba, who's the AD and men's coach at Northern, saying that women's coach resigned, there's an opportunity available, would you be interested? And so I jumped on it right away. And me being a Northern alumni too really helped, and it feels good to be back and try and turn the culture around there.
So you leave Sin City for back to small town New Mexico, right? I mean, obviously that had to be a strong calling from your old school there to leave Vegas to come back to small town, right?
Yeah, exactly. But you know, head jobs are hard to get, and I know it's somewhere I can be successful at. So, you know, my wife was real supportive of the move as well.
Well, especially at your age. I mean, tell the audience, you graduated Del Norte in
'06.
So you're a young fella to get a head coaching job.
Yeah.
I mean, are you the youngest coach among your peers there in your conference, or how's that?
You know, I believe I haven't met too many of the conference coaches, but when I've only been there for 8 games this year. So out of the 8 games, I'm pretty sure I had a couple years under him.
So talk about your time there with Coach Cordova, the 5 years you were coaching the men there.
Yeah, so we started it. I actually graduated there, I want to say, in 13, 14. So my second year there on staff, we ended up winning our league and making the NAI national tournament. And they haven't done so since. So that was a big accomplishment for us there. And then now me running the women's team, I understand what it takes to get to those feats, and I plan on taking that program to it.
What have those transitions been like from something as simple as coaching the men's game to the women's game to just, you know, expectations of each program? Talk about the transition and the different aspects of it.
Well, I would say the biggest transition obviously is just the athleticism. You know, on the guy side, they're just so much more athletic, and the game is played above the rim. On the women's side, though, it's more I want to say organized, and it really shows, especially in the defensive end. If you can get a team to really pressure the ball 84 feet, it transitions into wins a lot more, I believe.
Now, as a coach, an X's and O's guru, women's game maybe even a little more interesting to a coach because it is played below the rim, right? So there's a lot more X's and O's to it. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, it is. Really good women's teams, they execute offensively. I mean, it's to the T. Like when we played, for example, College of the Ozarks a couple weeks ago, and they're number 6 in the country. And when they come out of timeouts, those girls just execute. They set screens. They're sprinting to ball screens. They're sprinting to off screens, and they're being physical, and they're setting them. The girls are just coming off, and they're getting open looks, just how the coach would draw it up. So execution definitely is key on the women's side, and it shows more, like you said.
So why coaching in general? Why did you go into coaching?
I love basketball. Started playing at a young age at the Boys and Girls Club over there off San Mateo. And when I was at Del Norte and then learning from Coach Espinoza, I just figured this is something I want to do. I knew I wasn't very good to play at the next level, but I still grinded it out and played some small college basketball. But I knew my future was going to be a coach.
Now, I'm not going to let him get away with that. He was pretty good. Okay? All right, point guard of those teams, yeah, he was pretty good. So I'm not going to let that one fly under the radar, Mario. You were pretty good. Before we go to break, one thing I want to talk about a little bit is that'll help our audience, especially some of the high school students, athletes, is, you know, especially on the girls' side, let's turn to girls' basketball here in New Mexico. How do local girls here get recruited?
Well, what really helps us is we're so close to Albuquerque. So I know a lot of the times, you know, girls don't want to leave home. So us only being an hour, 15-minute drive, that helps. Our school being so affordable helps. So if you're a student athlete and you qualify for the lottery, and even if you get financial aid, you're basically going to school for free at Northern New Mexico. So I mean that's a big that's a big advantage for me.
Even before that, I mean, are you catching games where girls catch your eye? Or are you getting calls from, hey, Rio, you got to come look at this girl? Or, I mean, talk about some of the characteristics that it takes to get on your radar.
Yeah, for me, if a girl can guard, play defense, defend 84 feet, and she can handle the ball, that's what I like. And just keep it simple for me. I actually have had a couple emails now with guys that I actually played against in high school who are coaching women here now throughout the state. One of them being in Grants told me, hey, I have a couple kids for you, let me know, and then I invited them to my team camp as well. So I'm really focusing on basically the junior class now. I think I'll be able to hit them next year when they're seniors more, especially running this team camp I'm doing.
It's interesting that you say you want girls that can guard and that can handle the ball, because you're coaching or you're recruiting what you were good at, basically. You were really good at running the floor, right? The general, and you were a guard. You could guard. I mean, you could defend. And so something's never changed, right? That's what you're looking for right now?
Hey, you win games with guards. Guards win you games.
All right, we're going to take a timeout, and then we will go back to those Del Norte years. We'll talk about Mario's upbringing in the city, his love of basketball, and the couple of times that the Knights came short in the state title game. All that and more on Local Focus.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am?
Dang, this one made me feel all special.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
All right, we're back with Mario Caetano. He's the interim head basketball coach of the women's team at Northern New Mexico College, and he's a former Knight, and that's what we're going to delve into now. But before we get into Del Norte, I mean, where did your love of basketball start?
Man, it had to be just growing up, going to the Boys and Girls Club here right off of San Mateo and Headingley. That's where I first started playing basketball, probably going back to 7, 8 years old. My grandma, actually, her house is right there on San Mateo and Manal, and just walk to the Boys and Girls Club every day and roll the ball out and play.
Now, if I can recall, because I was around the team at the time there when I was doing some PA announcing, you guys were a pretty tight-knit group, right? So you played together before you got to Del Norte, right? Talk about that.
Yeah, me and a couple of the guys, we kind of grew up together, all meeting at the Boys and Girls Club. So it was Scotty Banforth and Nate Huff and myself. That's where we met and played from Boys and Girls Club to McKinley together and ended up at Del Norte.
So then you get to Del Norte, and I can say this because I went to Del Norte, not a basketball mecca to say the least. I can remember going to games when I was a student there, and it got so bad that the student section we would wear bags over our heads. So it was pretty bad. I mean, if you remember back to even when they had Daniel Santiago, I don't think they had an above 500 record with Daniel there. So you guys get there, and you're set to change that culture, right? So talk about that.
Yeah, I remember my senior year was our first year going to 4A. Back then it was 5A, 4A, and we kind of knew going into it. After having a decent junior year, we knew going into it that we're good enough to win it all. And I was lucky enough to have one of the best shooters, probably the best shooter ever to play New Mexico high school basketball on my team, and a pretty good athlete on the other side. So made my job real easy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously my opinion would be biased, but in my opinion, the best team never to win a state title had to be you guys there at Del Norte. I mean, would you agree with that? Talk about that.
Yeah, we have to be up there. We were pretty good, and it's hard to beat a team 4 times, and we ended up playing St. Pius that year, and we beat them 3 times. We beat them in the conference play. We beat them in the district tiebreaker, and then drew, I think it was 8 points short.
So talk about that rivalry. That was the rivalry, right, with St. Pius. I mean, Josh, believe it or not, they pulled out the upper bleachers for some of those games. And those upper bleachers actually work at Del Norte. Yeah, they do work. And they pulled them out for those games. But just to kind of take us through that season a little bit, and then into the playoffs, go through that.
Yeah, I just remember going in. We really, before going to my senior year and going to 4A, our rivalry was always Sandia, just because it was up the street, but they would always beat us. So it wasn't really much of a rivalry. That's what people just called it. And then when we played Pius, they were pretty good at the time, and every game was close. And I remember our first game over there, everyone was just made a big deal about it, and us going in, I don't think we knew what we started that year. And it just, we got the short end of the stick that year, though, because I think they won the state tournament that year, and maybe 3 or 4 years after that, they went on the streak. And
I know now when I'm doing games at Proview, if I ever have a St. Pius game on my schedule, I still kind of, it's uncomfortable to be around Coach Segura. There's still a little bit of oh man, this guy, right? And talk about the second time through, right? Your senior year, that would be?
Yeah. I just remember, I think the biggest game, the funniest game for me, besides playing at the pit, but was when we hosted the district championship at Del Norte, and we beat them, and then it forced us to go play them at a neutral site at Academy. And I remember that Academy gym was packed. And we beat them there, and then so we ended up with the #1 seed in the state that year going into the tournament. Won our first 2 games in the pit, fairly easy. We didn't play very well, though. We just got by just by being better. And then, St. Pius comes in, and they were just a better team that night.
So, what went wrong on the biggest stage there at the pit, do you think, if you had to pinpoint?
Man, I have a pretty good memory, too, and I think that I may be a little bit short, but I think we hit 1 for 18 from the 3. And it's tough to win games hitting 1 3. I remember we made a little run there late in the 4th quarter, but then it just got too late, and we couldn't get ourselves out of the hole.
You guys played pretty physical man-to-man defense, too, I remember, at the time. And so defense that, the Albuquerque officials were used to seeing, right? But I don't remember what game it was, but it seemed like there was a game where everyone was in foul trouble just because you guys played such physical D. And the bench, not as lengthy as maybe you'd like it, but, things didn't line up there at the pit. But you can't begin to express how good of a team that was. And, you said you weren't any good, but yeah, you were. So you had a point guard position, check. You had Scott Bamforth shooting lights out, check. You had a big guy in Nate Huff, check. The guy that I think had probably more ability than anybody, and Marcus Michael, he could just lock down anybody at any time. I mean, you have to look back fondly at those times, even though you didn't win a blue trophy, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing too that I take most from that is just the friendships that we still have to this day, especially me, Scott, Nate. I'm really close with. Occasionally, I'll talk to Marcus, just on social media. To Ian, he was also a big part of that team. But yeah, there's a lot of good memories both on and off the court with that. And then especially, I was lucky enough to play for Coach Espinoza, and he really impacted my life, not only as a basketball coach now, but just in general.
What are some of the things maybe you learned on those teams, and even with those shortcomings, that you could use now as a coach?
Just had to handle adversity, like you said. Del Norte was never a basketball mecca, but that year, just every time we went into another gym, I felt like we put the chip on our shoulder, and now that really helped me, especially playing under Jerome. He's really taught us how to overcome adversity, and I still take that now to when I'm coaching.
If you could put yourself on that sideline right there as the head coach, is there anything you do differently?
Give the ball to Scotty Moore.
Hey, that's a pretty safe one, right? We're going to take another time out here, and we'll come back with Mario. We'll talk about where some of those guys are now. I know Scotty's still doing some big things. More with Mario Caetano after this timeout.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every Proview Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProviewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best.
The service department at Gala Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Reminiscing on the glory days at Del Norte with Mario Caetano. He was the point guard on those teams. He's now the women's coach at Northern New Mexico College. Well, where are they now? Let's do a little bit of that. Obviously, we know what you're doing. Scotty's still doing big things, man. Talk about that a little bit for our audience.
Yeah, I know he's playing in the first team in Italy. He's just coming off an ACL injury, though, so he's rehabbing that. And then Nate Huff is he's still here, and he's
got like his PhD or something, right?
Yeah,
Isn't he like a genius?
He's the smartest dumb guy ever, but he's a orthopedic surgeon out here.
Okay, and Scotty still does a lot with the community as well, right? Because he had that whole Real Hoops thing, and so he's still giving back to the community in those ways too, right?
Yeah, he'll come out and he'll do basketball camps during these off season, so he gets out here a lot.
And what is Coach Espinosa? You still keep up with him? What's he doing?
We talk. I know he's a big golfer these days, but I know he still follows all the local sports, and he follows what I'm doing. So yeah, we talk occasionally.
And what bridge that gap between Del Norte and what you're doing now? What have you been doing in all that time?
Man, so after Del Norte, I bounced around a little bit, played some small college basketball. Then I finished my last year and a half at Northern New Mexico as a player, and then I hopped on the staff there on the men's side, and then moved out to Vegas, Nevada 2 years ago. And for those 2 years, I've been working on the EYBL circuit, coaching with the Vegas Elite. So we have a lot of high-level basketball players in the whole Nevada and even California area on our teams.
So as a Del Norte guy, did you keep up with Del Norte at all after you left?
When I saw that Jerron got the job, we played against him in high school, and we would always play together at Sports and Wellness. So once I saw he got it, I followed him again, and I saw he had some pretty good success early in his career there.
Yeah, I mean he got got the job, and right away into the tournament, right? Pulled off a shocker at Espanola, right? He went to their place, right? And,
Yep.
I mean, you have some ties up north, so that had to be something, right? When Duran goes in there and beats Espanola, I'm sure the locals reacted well to that.
Oh yeah, they tough place to play, especially when they lose in the tournament time. You want to get out of the building quick. You want to get out of Espanola as fast as you can.
I know after Jerome left there, the program kind of went on some some bad luck there and some tough times, and I mean, well, it was run pretty badly into the ground there. I mean, it was back to really bad levels for success, right? And occasionally we would be at Del Norte for a game or just as a fan. But now you see Coach Mack back there, and you see old guys come around, right? You see some Del Norte alumni in the gym, excited again, watching the games. That has to be pretty neat, right?
Yeah, I really like what he's doing for the program. Like you said, it brings that excitement back for someone who really gets in there, and he loves the game of basketball. So to have someone committed to basketball like that running a program, you got the right guy. Now,
we ran into each other at a Santa Fe game, right? So were you there for the same reason as I was, to watch JB in that team?
Yeah, he's pretty talented. So, I heard all this talk about, there's this kid in Santa Fe, you got to go see him play. So drove out there. And
what'd you think?
He's the real deal. It's unfortunate he went down with an injury, but he can definitely go. He's definitely a big-time player.
So obviously he's already gaining interest from New Mexico and then Utah.
Mm-hmm.
You know how that goes. If one team from the Pac-12 is recruiting you, probably they all are, right?
Yeah.
So what in his game that you saw there would draw so much Division I attention?
I mean, he's just so athletic, and not only being athletic, he's long and lanky, and he can shoot the three ball. And if you're, what is he, 6'8" now, and I think by the time it's all said and done, he'll be pushing 6'10", and he can shoot the ball like that. He's a tough matchup on the defensive end.
Yeah, I was talking to his grandma a little bit, and prior to surgery for that knee, they went into the doctor, and he was taking a look at growth plates, and Doc said, "Hey, 7 feet's not out of the question here." So that's gotta. If I'm him and I hear that, I'm just thinking, cha-ching.
Yeah, no,
right?
Exactly. He's definitely a high major player at the next level. So.
And kind of a poster child for the new basketball where there's no positions anymore, right? Big guys stretch the floor, can shoot it, right? He's kind of the future there. Usually guys that are his size in New Mexico, in that 6'6" to 6'8" range, they get pigeonholed into the post, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that really stunts their growth because you're not going to get out of New Mexico. You're not going to get out of Albuquerque as a 6'6" post player in D1, right?
Yeah, you're right, but I think Coach Cole does a really good job with him. And him being able to, play 1 through 5 and even guard 1 through 5. He's able to switch defensively. If, post really can't go set a screen with him because he'll switch and he can guard the point guard just fine. But him being on the, I know he's playing on the Adidas circuit is really going to help him get recruited as well.
What other guys have you seen here in New Mexico that kind of catch your eye?
That game, I know Cleveland had a couple kids. One of them's going to Highland.
Right, Dylan Munn.
Yep, he's going to Highlands. And
their point guard, Amir Muhammad.
Yep, and also I know JB has a couple teammates that Coach Cordova was really looking at too to take to Northern. So,
what is it about that Santa Fe team that stood out to you there? I know to me, it looks like they're pretty deep at the backcourt. It looks like those pieces were interchangeable, weren't they?
Yeah, they really were. But what I really liked is they stayed in their 2-2-1 press the whole game, and And Coach Cole really does a good job of coaching that press really, really well. And even when they would mess up at it, they stayed in it and they fixed it. And but just their ability to score the ball when they needed to. And JB hitting big shots after big shots. I know he stepped out and hit a corner three and kind of sealed the deal. And Cleveland didn't have an answer for him offensively.
Now on the girls' side, is there anything that catches your eye here locally in town or statewide?
After only being here about a month, I haven't really seen much women's basketball. My main focus has been hitting the junior college route. So I've been really going to Arizona, talking to a lot of connections I have in California as well. I'm trying to bring in more mature girls that are with experience. And I think that will help me as a first-year coach as well to have some older players that can handle the ball rather than, starting with a bunch of really young high school ones out of the gate. But definitely after, if I'm fortunate enough to come back, after 2 years, I really want to hit the junior class now in New Mexico. So create relationships now over the next year.
So now we circle back to northern New Mexico. What is that like? What's the process like to take over a program? Well, first of all, what were your first impressions when you got the job? Obviously, you have some outside thoughts, right, coming in. What were those?
Well, for me to to leave Vegas, and like I was saying, I was coaching a very, very high level team out there on the Nike circuit. For me to leave that, I would have to know there would have to be something where I can be successful at. So I did my homework, and I talked to Coach Cordoba, and I really believe that next year we're going to be a very, very good basketball team. There's a couple pieces there that I really like. Actually, there's one girl from Mescalero on the team, her and her sister, the Uzo sisters. They're both coming back next year, and they're only freshmen and sophomores, and they're extremely talented. We actually have a girl from Del Norte on the roster as well. She couldn't play this year due to some eligibility reasons, but I'm really excited to bring her back as well. So I think we have a really good young core there, and bringing in the group I plan on bringing in will be pretty good.
Is there anything that caught you off guard, surprised you, whether it be in a positive or negative direction? Was there anything that was like, oh man, this is better than I thought, or oh man, really needs to get fixed?
I mean, it's tough, especially getting the job in December. Obviously, the girls probably looking at me and they're like, "Why? What's going on?" So it's not easy for them either. The toughest thing was just trying to earn their trust early, which is I'm still working on it. Obviously, like I said, for them, it's really hard for them to trust another coach coming in December 5th after they've been with Coach Gallegos for the past, some of them over a year, and then me coming in, just the change and everything, the change that I'm bringing and getting used to something else and a whole new agenda basically.
What are some changes that you wanted to implement and that you have implemented right away?
So really with me, I'm really big on accountability. If they're not there on time, I'm getting upset. It might come off on me being too strict or really mean, but it's not that. I just see the potential that I have in that group, and just having them buy into me and buy in together. That's probably been the main focus I've been doing.
And I mean, how long does it take to really build a program in your vision, right? Because obviously you'll have a philosophy, you'll have a style, you'll have a vision. How long do you see that process taking?
I could really see it, really see the changes coming, and it might seem kind of crazy, but I think you see the difference starting in August when school starts, and then when we open in October. I really think that our normal fans that have been in there for the past few years, once they see when I bring my team in and they see how we're running, I think they're going to see changes instantly.
And I mean, long-term goals, short-term goals for your team and you as a professional?
For our team next year, I mean, we only won 5 games this year, so if we can get that to 15 in 1 year, my first year, I think that'll be a very, very good accomplishment for us. For me, I just want to be a head coach at the highest level I possibly can be. So,
Mario, thank you so much for coming in, man. You keep us updated, okay? Go Knights.
All right. Thanks, Sebastian. Appreciate it.
That'll do it this week. Catch us next week for an all-new episode.